Right, welcome to another edition of Serious Matters with Olukunle Son on Olive TV. Coronavirus has been the in thing in the last few weeks, and we'll still be talking about that now. But then we'll be looking at it from the perspective of the security, officers who are supposed to be enforcing the lockdown in different states across the country. Who have been, some of them have been found to have shot citizens, in different parts of the country. This particular one is coming from Delta State, where some women were alleged to have gone on a protest. It was a hunger protest, and they said about the report we got and says that a policeman in Delta State on Wednesday allegedly shot a protesting woman and left his rifle behind and ran to an unknown location. I'm sure he must be familiar with what will happen. Of course, too, what would happen to him if he had not. But leaving his rifle behind, I wonder, how he will get back to the office, because his rifle is one of the things that is like a signature, in his hands. Now, the Delta State Commissioner of Police, Aviz Inua, told reporters that the police are on the trail of the suspect in order to intensify investigations into the matter. The protest, of which a large number of women participated in Sapele area of the state, was a result of the extension of the coronavirus lockdown announced by Governor Ifeanyi Ukwa on Tuesday evening. Reports have it that that women and youths took to the street in Sapele local government area of the state to protest. And I think that happened, in different places across the country, to protest the lockdown by the government and lack of palliative care. Now, the problem is not the lockdown. The problem is the lack of palliative care. And that's to say that people are being kept at home and there is nothing for them to do, or there's nothing for them to eat. A lot of people, a lot of Nigerians, just like you heard the president acknowledge, a lot of Nigerians get their earnings daily. Then they make a living daily, from their daily earnings. And so when you say they should go and sit at home, then you are saying that they should go and die of hunger. There's been a report of a young man who went for, of course, some states like Osun State gave 2 days off, then they will return to 2 weeks. We have to begin a 2 weeks lockdown, tomorrow in Osun State. And the young man went out to do normal chores, to do his business, so as to make some money, probably to buy some food at home. Because when the government says go home, go and buy foodstuffs, and the people are wondering, what do I use to buy foodstuff? There is no money. And reports reaching us says that they shared so much rice in Osun State to be, that's a case study anyway. And it was just for each person, each or family had or got 2 or 3 cups of rice. When I say cup, I mean the milk tin. Those are what they got. And most of the rice that were being shared were rice that had expired. In fact, said some of them were actually brown. I never got to see any one of them. But then the Commissioner of Police has promised that this young man will be brought to book, and the necessary will be done. The protest recorded its first casualty as the protester was shot by a policeman as the women protested over hunger. The woman is now lying in a critical condition in the hospital after the officer shot her 2 legs. The victim was reportedly shot at a close range in both legs by a trigger-happy policeman dispatched to restore normalcy in the area. The policeman was said to have immediately run away, leaving his service rifle behind in a desperate move to avoid mob attack. Of course, that's what would have happened to him, if he had not, taken to his heel. But reports have shown, other cases, military officials. This was done by an NSCDC official, police officers shooting people. As of yesterday, the 15th, reports have it that about 18 persons have been killed by police officers or by officials who have been given the assignments to enforce the lockdown. But then what they eventually do is to knock out life, from citizens that they are supposed to protect. Well, thanks to the bosses who are doing what they have to do, doing justice to these situations, and seeing to it that these people are brought to book. Well, what is it still on COVID-19? COVID-19 in Nigeria. 34 new cases confirmed, and we already have 407 cases. 128 has been discharged, and we have 12 deaths already. I'll take that again. We have 34 new cases confirmed. Total now is 407, and discharged is 128, and we have 12 deaths already. Somebody died again this morning. The doctor died again this morning as a result of COVID-19, even though he had underlying sickness, other ailments that actually aggravated the problem. In Sokoto has received 170 COVID-19 alerts. Search for Lagos and Abuja returning. So they are becoming very sensitive to people who come in from, other states. Earlier on, it was people who came in from the US, from the UK, who were the focus. But now people are not coming in from that side. It is the people on the inside that are being that are being confirmed now. In Osun State, other 6 more persons have been discharged from their isolation center. 6 more persons have been discharged, leaving us with just about 2 or 3 persons left in that area. 2 or 3 left in that area. So in that in the isolation center at Ijibo. So it's still good, but then that did not stop the extension of the lockdown in Osun State. That did not stop the extension. We only have 2 patients left. We have 2 patients left. They are not. I don't know if testings are going on. If people have been tested, and at least to know the state of things, across the state. The FCT has also discharged 3 more COVID-19 cases. Enugu has discharged 1. So somehow it's beginning to reduce gradually and drastically. U.S. coronavirus stimulus checks to feature Trump's signature. Fayemi, the Ekiti State governor, has asked federal government to help our states financially and to help states financially. On the COVID-19 palliative, Castina is the highest recipient of federal government conditional cash transfer. My concern is that I've not seen people around us who has confirmed that they have received any cash from, and this is the second leg. I would say that's 2 weeks gone already. The other 2 weeks had begun, and we are not sure of what will happen after now. Reps have received March salary. They defer COVID-19 donation. I'm laughing because they were the ones who came out earlier on to say that they were going to donate half of their salaries. But now they have taken March salary and they are deferring the donation. Probably we will start next month. Don't worry. We'll start next month. FG excludes Lagos, Borno, Delta from cash transfer as Northwest gets biggest share. FG has excluded Lagos, Borno, Delta from cash transfer as government, or as the Northwest gets biggest share. So we're looking forward to other states receiving these palliatives. Security agencies killed 18 during lockdown. Security agencies kills 18 during this lockdown. The National Human Rights Commission has reported that law enforcement agents killed 18 persons while enforcing the lockdown order by the federal government to curb the spread of the COVID-19. The NHRS disclosed this in a report on the first phase of the lockdown from the March 30 to April 13. The commission said a total of 105 complaints bordered on human rights violations have been received from 24 states during the first phase of the lockdown. The executive secretary of the NHRS, Tony Ojukwu, said the complaints came from the Federal Capital Territory, Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Ebonyi State, and several other places, Osun, Plateau. They were from different states: Ogun, Lagos, Kwara, Kogi, Katsina, Ekiti, Delta, from 24 states. The complaints received and documented by NHRS within the period includes cases of extrajudicial killings, violation of rights to freedom of movement, unlawful arrest and detention, and seizure, confiscation of properties. There were also cases of sexual and gender-based violence, discrimination, torture, inhuman and degraded treatments, and extortion. Whereas COVID-19 has led to the death of about 11 persons, or 12 till date. Today's Thursday. Till date, that COVID-19 itself has killed 12 persons up to date. Unfortunately, law enforcement agents have extrajudicially executed 18 persons to enforce the regulation. I leave you to do justice to that. It's annoying. It's painful. That what we are trying to protect is even killing lesser persons than the persons who are said to protect, the people. Well, let's leave that. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. I had mentioned earlier on a woman that was being shot by a policeman during protests in Delta State. The Minister for Information has said that no Chinese doctor tested positive for COVID-19. Sure, there have been news making the rounds that 1 or 2 of the Chinese doctors tested positive, but the Minister for Information has come out to say that no Chinese doctor has tested positive. Several other issues bordering on coronavirus. Lagos has created 20 centers. FCT comes residents' houses. And so they are beginning to go into houses to check You remember that Lagos State will started a house to house, door to door, search of active case, while they are doing the continuing the tests. The number of tests are being done on a daily basis. So that is that. Let me add one. We had the death of Kensaro Wiwa's son, who has died of coronavirus in London. Kensaro Wiwa's son died of coronavirus in London. He had underlying ailments too, and so that led to the death of the man. I also mentioned earlier on that a hungry Nigerian man faints and dies at work. He does a Benia job and then he faints and dies. Sex workers lament as clients shun their service during this lockdown. Sex workers are also talking, saying that clients are shunning their services. 23-year-old law graduate commits suicide over 28-day lockdown in Botswana. 23-year-old graduates commit suicide over 28-day lockdown in Botswana. That's the last one I'm just going to be running through. He's a popular activist overdoses. He overdosed himself at home, terrified at the thought of being stuck indoors for the next 28 days. In the early hours of Thursday, 2nd of April, not today, a day before Botswana was due to go into lockdown, 23-year-old Kowano Selalidi took their own lives. He was a gender non-conformist, meaning they did not regard themselves as either male or females. He's said to have overdosed on their depression medication at their home in Palapio. They were buried until this Wednesday in a quiet ceremony at their home village of Gabin. Described by friends and colleagues as a hero and lover of life, Saledi, an unemployed law graduate from the University of Botswana, was said to have been battling with depression for some time, and now coupling that with the 28-day lockdown, he could not stand that, committed suicide. Well, let me leave you with that update on coronavirus. Thank you for watching.